AITA for refusing to let my husband's infertile friend name our son. My husband, M33's best friend, M37, Will is infertile. He got divorced 2 times because of it and because he lied and hid his infertility. And his life hasn't been the same the day he was told he can't have kids. He has always had a soft spot for children, and when he found out that my husband and I are expecting, he was so thrilled and started buying us gifts and decor pieces that he made from his woodwork for the baby. My husband thinks that those are all nice gestures, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable, especially with how much he keeps mentioning the baby. A few days ago, my husband and I found the gender of the baby. The minute we told Will, he started calling the baby a random name he picked and was going to give to his baby if he wasn't infertile. He then started begging us to use this name, and my husband said it was a done deal. I refused, but my husband called me heartless and asked me to do this one small, nice gesture for his struggling friend, to give him closure and honor him after all the things he has done for us. I flipped and said it's my baby, not his. Will heard this and left immediately. My husband yelled at me saying it's his baby too, and my behavior towards Will was aberrant. He left after him and didn't come back till the morning. He kept saying the same thing and pressuring me to agree on the name, but I refused. AITA for choosing this hill to die on? NTA, is your husband also building his friend an art room in your house? For some reason I read the headline and then came to the comments without actually reading the post, and now I'm thinking I should just never read the post and try to imagine what the fuck this thread means. They are reference to older popular posts. The art room reference is referring to a post where a man took over a spare bedroom to build an art room for a new friend without his wife's permission. They ended up divorcing because he figured out he was gay for the art friend. The marinara flag thing is a reference to another post and a response, red flag, but marinara because marinara was typical to the post that I can't quite remember the details, but it was incredibly funny. A marinara flag is a red flag though. NTA. And since this is AITA, I'm assuming your husband is in love with Will and they plan to run off together with your child. Please update. I totally thought of the art room guy with this post. Some weird vibes with this one too. NTA, mom and dad have rights to name the baby. Nobody else. Mom doesn't like a name? Doesn't get included in the list of potential names. Dad doesn't like a name? Doesn't get included in the list of potential names. Why is your husband picking a friend over his wife? That should be your concern here. Also, your husband is his friend needs therapy, not to pick baby names for closure. Your husband is actually a bad friend for entertaining this. Also, make sure every nurse in that hospital when you give birth knows that the birth certificate doesn't get within 10 feet of your husband. NTA. I would also add an alert that the friend is not allowed to be alone with the baby ever. Not as common in men, but you hear about women in a situation who form a sort of attachment psychosis and steal babies. Sure, you can name my baby. No need to talk to my spouse about it, either. This is clearly more important to you than to her. NTA. Small thing to do? You are the one pregnant with this child, it is your baby. Who the hell says that for naming a whole human being? Why is your husband letting Will be like a second dad to his own kid? Unless the name is after a family member perhaps, there shouldn't be a third person outside the couple when naming a kid. When naming a kid, both parents, just the parents, should agree on a name. It does not matter if Will is infertile or fertile. I'd honestly consider rethinking this marriage. It sounds like there are 3 people in this marriage, by the way your husband is with Will. Joking kind of, but holy crap, this is another level. The fact your husband is prioritizing his friend over you, his wife, is so concerning. NTA in the slightest bit. Edited because I misread something. AITA for being mad my husband ate without me? My husband took me out to a birthday dinner, my birthday. While we were waiting on the food, I saw an old co-worker and told my husband I wanted to go speak to them for a moment. While talking, I kept looking back towards our table to see if our food was out and to check on my husband. No food that I could tell, I'm super nearsighted, and he seemed to be reading something on his phone. I wrapped up the convo, may have been 10 to 15 minutes, only to come back to him finishing his food. I asked if he was done already, why didn't he let me know the food was out, etc., and he started saying he had small portions, didn't think it was a big deal, didn't want to interrupt my conversation, etc. I asked why didn't he motion towards me or something, He said he didn't think it would be a big deal for him to just eat. Now I understand what some may think about me walking over to speak to the former co-worker. It was a quick 10 to 15 minutes conversation and moving on. I even asked him if he minded if I went over and spoke to them for a few minutes because I had not seen them in quite some time. They are older. This wasn't a super fancy sit-down restaurant either. Our budget was tight, so we went to Cracker Barrel. I feel like he could have at least let me know the food was out something. A little more context, we've been married 16 years, 2 teens etc. Nothing like this has ever happened before. AITA. Walking away for 15 minutes when you had food ordered and were supposed to be celebrating with your husband is way more rude than your husband eating his food while it was hot and fresh. You should be apologetic, not indignant. Exactly. 15 min feels like a long time when you're just sitting there all alone. AITA. Edit. I don't buy the 15 min either. Did he just inhale his food? I'm sure he had to wait a bit, and after it arrived he still had to finish the meal. AITA. And it's rude to get up from dinner and have a conversation for 10 to 15 minutes and leave your husband sitting there. If someone did that to me while on a date and we weren't married, I would have left the money for my food and tip on the table and politely left. Incredibly rude. AITA. You went out to eat with your husband. He assumed you preferred to talk to someone else, so didn't bother you. He went there to spend time with you and have dinner. Since you decided against the first, he decided to go ahead and do the second. Unless she was eating alone, you were also rude to anyone else at her table. AITA. Both to your husband and probably to the old co-worker who likely just wanted to get on with their own meal and dining partner. AITA. 15 minutes really is a long amount of time when you're sitting by yourself doing nothing but waiting. Also, it doesn't even seem like he was upset at waiting, seems he was perfectly understanding. You're the one that's making it an issue. If you were that worried about your food you wouldn't have stayed away so long. AITA for moving out like this? MY19F, parents adopted a baby1M a month ago. I hate babies. He cries all night and I had to give up my room because we only have 2 bedrooms and I moved in the basement which is not big enough, so I had to get rid of some of my stuff. One night I couldn't sleep anymore. He kept crying, so in the morning I tried to talk to my parents and tell them that I'm moving out, but they were busy and didn't even listen. I called my aunts and uncles to see if I can stay with them for a few days until I find a place, but they all said no and made different excuses, so I thought screw them all. I packed my stuff and went to my friend's home, but left my phone at my parents' home because I knew they'd be mad if I move out. It took them 4 days to realize that I don't live there anymore. They say I'm an asshole because according to them when they realized me and my stuff are gone they called me, and when I didn't answer they called the whole family, and when they realized no one knows where I am they panicked. I told them I'm not the asshole because I literally told everyone that I'm moving out. It's not my fault that no one listened. Everyone is mad at me now and my parents told me I have to come back and apologize, and they are not talking to me now until I do as they said. NTA. Your parents decided to displace you from your room for a new baby, ignored you, didn't notice you were gone for 4 days, and somehow you're the asshole in this situation? Really? Yeah, I didn't think so. I hope you're looking for a more permanent living situation that isn't with your parents. I agree with every word you posted. Op's parents took 4 days to realize she was missing. I read that and it made my heart hurt. I have children with a large age gap. I didn't suddenly forget I had an older child when the second was born. In fact, I had more of a commitment to do regular check-ins with my eldest to see how they were handling the big changes in our home. Op's parents are Taz. They shouldn't want her to come back so she can apologize, they should want her to come back so they can apologize. All these people who are like it was probably normal for the Op to be out of the house overnight or a couple days at a time without her parents knowing where she is, she's a legal adult after all, have me scratching my head. What kind of families did these people grow up in? That was not how it was with me or my siblings, even when we were legal adults. Mom would have worried that we were dead in a ditch if we were out for 12 hours without giving her a heads up or checking in. Hell, I am a full-grown adult with my own mortgage now, and she worries I'm dead in a ditch if I take more than 8 hours to respond to a text or an email. NTA. You were having issues and they didn't care about it. You're a legal adult, you can move out whenever you want. You told them. It's not your fault they don't listen. They're probably just mad they lost their free live-in babysitter. Edited. NTA. Why would they be mad if you moved out? Would they have tried to stop you from moving out? Why do they want you to move back in if they didn't even notice you were gone?